Welcome to episode 91 of the DX Mentor, a discussion with the recently completed Fox Whiskey 5 Kilo DXpedition to Wallis and Futuna Islands. My guests tonight are Alex, K6VHF, Mark, Nancy Charlie 7 Mike, Oceal, Nancy Golf 7 Mike, and Joe, WAGEX. Here's the introduction as it was listed on their website. The DX Obsessed Group, DXO, consisting of K6VHF, KA6BIM, W7HAN, NG7E, NJ7I, and NC7M, will be active from Wallis and Futuna as Fox Whiskey 5 Kilo during October 20th to November 7th, 2025. In fact, they were, and they just really had a very, very interesting DXpedition, and I know you're going to want to hear about it. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. We have a back catalog covering many aspects of DX in both podcast and YouTube format. Please check us out. If you like what you find, please subscribe, like, and share to always be notified about upcoming events, and it helps us out. Another way to keep in touch and to see what we're up to is via the DX Mentor Facebook page. I will be posting about upcoming podcasts as well as other DX events, so please follow us. Well, let's hear about this DXpedition. Well, good evening and welcome to episode 91 of the DX Mentor. And we've got just a great group of guys tonight who are seasoned DXers, seasoned DXpeditioners, and I'm as excited as I can be to hear what they have to say. We have the group that did the Wallis and Futuna trip last fall. I think I said that correctly. And let me read what that was about, and then we'll get into the details. Quote, the DX Obsessed Group, DXO, consisting of K6VHF, KA6BIM, W7HAN, NG7E, NJ7I, and NC7M, will be active from Wallis and Futuna as Fox Whiskey 5 Kilo during October 20th to November 7, 2025. So that's what we're here to discuss tonight, and I'm sorry if I'm not reading correctly. We've had some technical difficulties, and I think it's going to turn out just fine. But so as always with me to get this started, Joe, tell us about yourself, and then let's turn it over to Alex. So WAGEX, Joe.
I'm going to make my intro short, and let's get on with these guys because I'm like you. I'm very interested, and I also worked them. So I'm Joe, WAGEX, been Bill's partner here for 4 or 5 years now, and Bill and I both love doing this. But I've been on several DXpeditions, 62, a matter of fact, some big, some small, and I'm just a DXer from the get-go. I'm on the DX every day, so I really appreciate these guys coming. So, Alex, tell us a little bit about you, buddy.
Yeah, good to see you guys here. I'm glad to be back. So, well, I'm one of those amateur radio guys that immigrated to the United States with the amateur radio skills. I was born in the Republic of Georgia, and my first call sign was 4 Lima 1 Foxtrot Papa. You know, when the other kids were playing outside, I decided to build my radio. So at the age of 12, I built my first transceiver. So I was excited. Since then, I fell in love with radio, especially part of expedition activation. So I've been activating a lot mountains and national parks, and here we activate the entities. So I hold extra class in the United States, and I have over 13 call signs as today active all my expedition. That's kind of the tradition. I try to keep it active. Never know, we can back to the place. So it's been pretty good ride for me, and I was glad to be part of a Fox Whiskey 5 Kilo up in the Wallis and Futuna with a great team of people. And so I'm gonna Mark, go ahead. You can take over.
Okay. I'm Mark, November Charlie 7 Mike. I was one of the team leaders on the Fox Whiskey 5 Kilo DXpedition and YJ0TT. We had from Vanuatu. Been in amateur radio since 1976. My dad was an amateur big DXer, and I became the neurotic one with the big towers and multiple everything that comes along with that. Been contesting probably since 1980 or so, and have been on 5 DXpeditions, including Isle of Man and Wales, as well as the one that I did was OC from St. Lucia. and then Vanuatu, and then this recent one from Fox Whiskey 5 Kilo, Wallis and Futuna. So been a DXer, and I am a DXer like Joe. I'm on every single day trying to work something, no matter if it's the local off-island person, but always trying to work the next one. OC, take over.
Hey, thank you very much. My name is OC NJ7I. I've been a ham since 2009. I started somewhat late, thanks to my mentor, W6UA. Yeah, I forgot his name. um, he was a great guy. He's silent key now, but he got me into ham radio. I happened to stop by and ask him about his towers there in Bakersfield, California, because I wanted to get the permit process so I can put up a ham CB radio tower. And he said, no, you don't want to do that. You want to do ham radio. And so he said, listen, I'll tell you what, if you get your ham radio license, I will let you borrow a radio. You just get your power supply and antenna. And that's how I started, thanks to Fred Moore, W6UA. It's been a great journey. I've enjoyed it. I've been on a couple of DXpeditions, as Mark mentioned, St. Lucia, the Vanuatu, and this latest one at Wallis and Futuna. Had a great time. It's always been a learning experience, and we hope to get better and better as we mature.
Okay, super. Well, either Mark or OC, could you tell us a little bit about the team that went? I know there were you three, but I know there were a couple more.
Go ahead, Mark.
Sure, I can go ahead and do that. Yeah, the other hams here are all from Oregon. That's where I'm at. I'm in Boring, Oregon. It's my town. It's called Boring. And so they're down in Southern Oregon. N7JI, he also went on our Vanuatu trip. And his daughter, Hannah, who's the other Whiskey 7 Hotel Echo Radio. She was the starter of the Oregon Amateur Radio Club. She founded that before she graduated, and so she was quite a good operator too with us on the trip. So we had them, and then we had Dave KA6BIM, who is iron butt. I mean, this guy can sit in a seat for an unbelievable amount of hours. He's an avid contester. He's probably in every contest, including every state QSO party. He's a county hunter. I think he's only missing 4 counties for the U.S.
Wow.
And so he was a really good operator, somebody that we knew that we could rely on to stay in the seat and make QSOs. So those are the other group people that came with us. N7JI, great CW operator, Scott Rosenfeld and Hannah Rosenfeld. Those are the other operators there. And Scott is quite an avid CW guy. Another iron butt to stay on the radio for hours and hours. We have a funny saying. This is what Scott says when it's your turn to get on. His shift is over, and then we would get this right here. There's just one more QSO, and 50 QSOs later, it was just one more QSO. So
One more.
Yeah, one more. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That is our team. We had a great team. They did a lot of QSOs and stayed on the radios. It was really good. Our propagation was poor, but
okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. So
Sure.
I'll tell you a funny thing that happened tonight. We watched a trivia show called The Chase, and one of the questions was, there is a city called Boring, Oregon, and who is its sister city?
Right.
And do you know it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's Dull, Scotland, right?
There's 2 now.
Oh.
And the other one is in Australia. It's like the person that always puts stuff off. What is that?
Procrastination.
Yeah, Procrastination Australia. I think that's it. Yeah.
Well, that's funny. I'd never heard of boring anywhere until tonight. Now I've heard about it twice. So
okay. It's a great town, but it's tiny.
Tiny. Okay. So how did y'all decide that you wanted to go to Wallis and Futuna? And anybody can pick it up. Alex, how did you guys decide that?
Well, first of all, we love Pacific. Pacific is one of the top destinations. And also, to be honest, it's actually easy to get there. You know, we're not planning to go like in Africa, where there's a lot of challenges because, you know, we want to make sure we're gonna activate something we can, right? And obviously, if you look on the West Coast, I know what's the closest to South Pacific, and especially a lot of expedition go there, so it's a lot of experience, right? I've been in South Pacific a lot. I've been with different type of teams, different people, and different experience, and it was kind of fell in love with that. Then every time we tried to go, we go there. But we had a few options, and one of the options was going to Australia, Lord Howe, but VK9, but it's a lot of politics involved, bureaucracy involved, and very expensive. And we decided to go to Wallis and Futuna, one of the beautiful islands actually, and we ended up going there. So next time if we decide to go, I think it's going to be another Pacific entity.
Okay. OC, tell us about the overall DXpedition. We kind of talked about the number of operators. How many days, what type of equipment, what kind of antennas did you have?
We were there for about 14 days. And from my perspective, I landed and I was a little sick. So I didn't get better initially. I got worse and found out that I had bronchitis.
Oh.
And the other thing I found is that the medicine was free. The doctor visit was free because that's how they work in Wallis. So we did take quite a bit of the equipment. We took 5 expert electronics NSDR 2 DX radios. We took 3 ICOM IC7300s. We took a 403A triplexer. We had a pair of KPA 500s, and Alex brought his expert SPE expert 1.3 kilowatt amp, which kind of died there towards the end and was resurrected once he got back to the States. We took 3 buddy pole buddy hexes that we got from Chris at Buddy Pole. And we took a few spider beam poles for just having straight verticals. And then we had a 3-element 6-meter Yagi antenna.
Wow.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Don't forget our amplifiers.
Yes, our KPA 500s that we had there.
Yeah, I want to add is the low band, because low band is always challenged, right? And you know, we had wire antennas, so we use a spider beam pole, 12 meters, and we use that antenna for 60 meters, 40 meters, 30 meters. We use Victor Papa 2 Echo, which is vertical polarized 2 elements, and I love this antenna. I've been using this for over 20 years from expeditions. It's amazing. It has directivity and gain, and always challenges on low bands. And especially in 160. But we talk about a little bit later about the challenges we had, and 160 would be one of them.
You know what always amazes me is the equipment that you take. You know, you guys, you lug it up rocks, lug it down rocks, put it on tables. It's hot, it's cold, it's used around the clock, and it just works. So when we talk to DXpedition folks, it becomes an anomaly when they say, well, this radio failed and we couldn't get it to work. Because most of the time, the stuff really just works. I think to me, it's always amazing. You know, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Joe, do you have a question?
Yeah, Alex, what was your weather like?
Oh, it's so weather was good at the beginning. We were happy, but we were landing. It was raining. It was foggy. It was very humid, and our concern was to how we're going to set up antennas at the weather, because we want to get on air as soon as possible, right, and give people entity. But when we arrived, it was raining. It was really heavy rain, and we had to drive 2 cars. And I was one of the drivers in unknown country, an unknown car, unknown roads, a lot of potholes, by the way. So yeah, you have to kind of turn on your survival mode there. But the weather was kind of tropical. I've been in these places many times. And I have a Honduras house, so I go travel there every 2 months. So it's typical subtropical climate. But South Pacific is a little bit different because what is winter here, it's a summer there. So it's just before the rainy season. It was surprised weather. We had very heavy rain. The rain was the actual cause of my amplifier death. So it's been it died because of the SWR jumped very sharply, and amplifier couldn't take care of it. So weather was kind of not too bad and not too good.
Okay. If memory serves me, Wallis and Futuna are on the eastern coast of Australia. So what was the logistics like for each of you to get there? Where did you have to fly into, and et cetera?
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, so we had two different takeoff points. So we actually three. The Southern Oregon people, they left from down in Southern Oregon, and we all ended up meeting in LA.
No, Dallas.
In Dallas, sorry, in Dallas. Yeah. So we were going to LA, but we ended up in Dallas. So we go from our hometowns, Phoenix and Oregon, and ended up in Dallas, and then we all boarded and went out to Fiji. From Fiji, then we flew over into Wallis from there. Two different airlines. Everybody, all the airlines were great this time. Different than Vanuatu, but yeah, it pretty much everybody was right on target with their weight. We each ended up taking a carry-on and a check bag. Some of us had golf bags for the antennas, and so everything, just everything goes. And we also, ahead of time, ended up sending, for logistics things, we ended up sending 6 cases of parts down to the island ahead of time. We sent it over DHL, and we were able to send all of our coax, everything like that, the super heavy stuff, we were able to send in boxes ahead of time. So we had connectors and tools and, anything that we needed outside the box of super heavyweight. And it actually allowed us to maintain our packages that we were taking on board, and to get enough stuff down on the island so that we were in great shape when we got down there.
Wow.
I want to add one more thing. So on our last leg, which is flying from Fiji to Wallis, where we use the Air Caline. So it's Air Caledonian Airlines, which has a very bad record. We're kind of concerned about that, especially, it's like something you're trying first time, you never know. And so the pilots were from France, so they were recruited, and because it's French entity, right? And that's why. But all foreigners. So here's a fun part. I want to bring this up because every single expedition has those moments. If you are a foreigner, you automatically in the first class. All right, that's how it works in those airlines. So we don't have a choice, right? They put us in the first class. So we ended up 6 of us pretty much taking the entire space of the first class. Now, tell the first class Air Caline, I've never seen that. They serve sushi, sashimi, wine, and things like that. You feel like you're a very valid person. Now, while Mark behind me and OC on the left side, there was some guy sitting next to me. And we kind of started a conversation. Turns out this guy, it's the governor of the island. So he's like president of the Wallis Island. It was very funny. I hear the conversation on the other side of the plane where we have Scott sitting with his daughter and talking to someone local. Those are chief of police of island. So it turned out this chief of police is actually, kind of a security guy, service for this governor that sits next to me. And they're coming back from the South Pacific Polynesian Summit from Australia. So it was kind of funny that we're flying to Wallis and have two main people of the island sitting right next to us.
Yes.
We invited them to come to our place. He knew who issue our licenses. He knew the people who own the place we were, but they never end up there. So, but
Okay.
I think it's a funny story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you never know, do you? You just don't
You
know.
never
We were
know.
really shocked. It's like we're sitting in the presidential suite with, it's kind of
Yeah.
like that. That's what it seemed like.
So one of the things that is becoming more and more prevalent, and I think of Bouvet at this point in KP5, is internet access. I never would have thought that would have been so important for a DXpedition, but I have to say, when I look back over X number of years, for instance, my first Vietnam card I got back said not in log. And, when you had to do insurance contacts in the old days and all those other things, I mean, I do actually do appreciate, club log updates and stuff. What was, and I guess OC, I'll ask you this, what was the internet and the electricity like during your 2 weeks? Was it pretty standard or evidently not?
I can say that we regret not taking our own Starlink. Um, we did have we did have Starlink there at the place where we stayed, and it just wasn't super fast. And a lot of us, we just when we had some spare time, we wanted to be on our phones, so that kind of slowed things down. Now, that's from the internet side, getting everything out. Internally, we suffered from using their network also, so we quickly had to adapt and stand up our own internal network so all of our computers could communicate to each other, and then get the data back out to the internet to update club log. So it definitely posed some challenges for us, but once we got those resolved and we kind of communicated to the rest of the team, thou shalt not browse TikTok and all of this stuff, I think the message was heard and those challenges went away. The electricity, it was great until we developed a lot of moisture and then the power went out. And they had solar panels, so a lot of it ran on solar during the day with batteries, but they also had electricity. So we did face a challenge there. I think we had a total of 5 power outages.
Wow.
Where it was the middle of the night and it's like, whoa, everything just went dark.
Well, I want to add that we had power outage every time when I turned the teapot.
Yeah.
So because we were overloading, I know I'm guilty. I just want a tea. I turned the teapot, all of a sudden everything is gone. I'm like, that wasn't me. So and we will learn that when you're running 3 amplifiers at the same time, so do not drink a tea. Period. So the network was not ready for such amount of energy we were consuming.
And I imagine the problem with the power outage is you don't know when the next one's coming.
Right.
So you are scrambling to make sure the log entry is complete and everything. So that's interesting.
And I think that if we look back at lessons learned, right, we want to get the QSOs updated to club log so that people can take a break and not really be there to try to work us again and again, because we don't know if the QSO was made. So I think one of the things that we're looking towards in the future is either do better with the tools that we have, like continuous uploads, or do burst of uploads every 3 hours, every 6 hours, or every 12 hours, but make people aware that this is how we're going to be doing that. Because I think that when you leave people in the blind, then their first instinct is to try to work you again and again and again to confirm you. And that only adds to congestion, right? And, then you get the people that are complaining and they're just tuning up on the band and all that. So I think that everybody suffers from this. Yep.
I think what we're going to do here for DX Obsessed for the next go round is to get our own Starlink. If we had our own Starlink, we don't have to deal with what's going on at the hotel. And I think that that's the most important thing to keep live stream going. I know live stream has been a huge saver for myself, looking at it when I could barely hear KP5 signals coming out. I see that they worked me because I can see it up on the live stream. Yeah. And so I think it's super important that since Starlink is so it's a net now, up there in the sky, that it will be something for us to definitely purchase. And I think it should be part of every DXpedition anymore.
Okay, Joe,
Yeah, and
go ahead.
we do have our own Starlink set up. We just unfortunately did not take it with us, which I think was a big mistake, but we've learned from that. And as we go forward, we'll take our own Starlink.
Okay.
Sure.
Joe, I think you have a question, but let me ask this because it's
Yeah,
on
go ahead.
topic. So
Sure.
I'm one of the pilots for Bouvet, and I've never done it before, and I've found it fascinating. It's really, really fascinating. And one of the ideas I want to propose to them after the dust settles is, they had published the band plan and they got like one station up right away. And as soon as they got that one station up right away, everybody went to the band plan and started going there. And pirates went there too. So all of a sudden we're getting all these questions about, well, 20 meters isn't into Europe right now, and that's where propagation is. And why is that? It's like, well, we don't have anybody on 20 meters. So I'm wondering now with this instant access, if this isn't better to say, okay, we got 5 stations, we're going to go live all at once instead of just 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. I've never been on your end. I'm just throwing that idea out. I don't know if that helps or hurts, but
Well, we're using the propagation maps. So part of the tools you need to understand with propagation, right? And when you use a propagation map,
1 second, I'll be back.
okay, Mark.
sure. So you look at a propagation map. If you don't hear North America, you're going to hear somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
And when you're in the South Hemisphere, it's a little bit different because you can shoot over the South Pole. Don't look at the North Pole. Here in the North Hemisphere, we're looking over pole. Everything is over pole, right? Africa and Europe and all that. So in South Hemisphere, it's a little bit different. So you need to understand the conditions where you're at. You understand the propagation. Unfortunately, during our expedition, we had 2 solar flares, and that completely killed the propagation, and we were suffering of a lack of propagation. And it's sometimes that even Australians that are literally like less than 1,000 miles away, they couldn't hear us. So it was kind of frustrating. But if you look on the propagation maps, you can determine in which tiny window you have opening on 60 meters, which I use that window to operate on 60 meters and give European, especially if you look on the top most wanted, right? North America and Wallis, we're good. We're in good shape.
Yeah.
When it comes to Europe, we're top 70, top 50. So we need to work for them and use those tiny openings. So it's always challenge. It's not you come there, turn the radios, you're good to go. You're wasting energy. You need to look up what's the best time. And I think we did good job, especially planning those activities for different continents.
Okay, Joe, go ahead.
You guys made 37 plus QSOs. So were you happy with that, Alex?
No way. Well, that's frustrating. I'm really really even sad to say this number, but yeah, our expectation obviously we kind of expected 50,000. I mean, to be honest, right? That's kind of nice number. We didn't expect 100,000. We know that's not going to happen with our antennas and powers and all that, but at least 50,000 we could achieve. And based on previous Vanuatu experience, that was possible. We learned a lot of lessons, but unfortunately, as I mentioned, propagation was very bad. And we kind of realized that we had some episodes where we were mad and we didn't want to operate and things like that because frustration kind of overwhelming. And then just, okay, we're here, we spend the money, we're committed, we have a limited time, and God of propagation does not want to look at us, and it was frustrating. So I think we did the best we could in those conditions. We kind of relied on the contest that will give us a lot of boost on the QSOs, but unfortunately, it was another frustration when you call for sometimes hours and there's no QSOs whatsoever.
Really?
And yeah, and that's I've never experienced this. This is I think that Wallis was the first time in my over 20 years of expedition experience that it's you can't comprehend this. You mean you can't accept this. There's no way. I mean, I'm getting mad. Either they're just ignoring me or it's something else. And sometimes I have to turn antenna on the long path and they start hearing me. I'm like, it makes no sense. Yeah. But because everyone pointed to the north, and we're in the south, nobody want to work one simple station on the middle of the ocean while you have hundreds good points and multipliers in Europe, right? So that's my personal opinion. No, we did not meet our expectation. I'll let OC add what his frustration.
Yeah, and it was frustrating because, as Alex mentioned, we could hear them from this side, we can hear them both from this side, and we called, but nobody was hearing us. So it's like everybody was just going right over us, and we couldn't figure it out. It was a big disappointment, but also a big learning experience. How do we overcome something like this? Because as Alex mentioned, we did spend hours there and thinking, do I just keep calling and maybe a miracle will occur and we'll get a big pilot. But we'd go for half an hour and we'd get 2 QSOs, and it's like, what are we doing? I mean,
Wow.
you just
And you
felt
know
like
what?
turning off the radios there for a little while and taking a break, but you just kind of sat there and you just endured it.
So the funny part of that because nobody posting you and turning you in the DX cluster, right? So, and I know if someone gonna post you there,
Yeah.
it's all of a sudden a burst of a pileup, and you're just enjoying this like 20 minutes pileup, and as everything just dies. You know the propagation there, but there's nobody know that you're there, right? So then someone else spotting you, and it starts all over again. So we had those bursts coming in and out, especially on the top ends.
Wow. Joe?
So talking about propagation, Alex, I worked you guys on 30 and 160.
You worked me, okay?
Yeah, and I needed you on both bands. So I was one happy camper.
Nice. So I can talk about the 160. We set up 160 beginning of the second week. We tried to focus on other bands, but I use the inverted L antenna, which is kind of typical and popular, especially in this portable conditions we have, right? I also brought the loop antenna for the receive, but unfortunately, whatever reason, did not work. It's LZ1AQ, one of these amplified loop antennas, but so we ended up using a 160, just a plain inverted L antenna. Immediately noticed a lot of noise, especially at when it's a Dario everyone turns his LEDs, an island full of LEDs, and it creates this display noise floor, and you cannot hear the station. People hear you. I get messages from friends, hey, we hear you. Well, sorry, I cannot hear you at all because of noise. So I was disappointed, and I have to tear down the 160, and then reconsider, improve it, and put it back. And then when I committed already to operate 160, and I think I worked over 150 QSOs on the 160, it was incredible. Through the wall of noise, pick the signals up. There was absolutely no way to work CW or SSB because the conditions were not in favor.
Wow.
FT8 only was the only one possible mode to operate. I know there's a lot of haters around the world about the digital modes, especially FT8, but this is the only way to give this entity to people who look into coupling their DXCC, because our purpose being in there activate this entity, and we're going to do everything as possible in our best abilities to give that QSO to people. So it was very challenging, but I think we good job on.
So I was really lucky to work you guys then. If you only worked 100 or so, damn.
I hope you confirm you got this beautiful QSL card too.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
when you're running 20,000 watts, I don't think it's that big.
Listen to that.
I knew there was something.
Yeah. So
Alex, what was your antenna for 160? A vertical?
Inverted L, yes. Yeah. It was 12 meters vertical, which is spiral. And then I had about 100 feet a wire towards the palm. And what I was doing is trying to find the location and orientation of it where it have less noise. You would expect you'd be on an island surrounded by water. It would be something, but unfortunately, the ground system was. Someone has a photo when I put the balloon. I used a chair, so I took a chair, one of those plastic chairs, and I went the coax cable in it, and it become a big balloon. We'll call this common mode choke, right? So it helped a lot to improve efficiency of the antenna. And then also had the hairpin match, which is also bleed all static down. So I use all of my knowledge and understanding of what we can do to improve it. It's actually, and then give the results with work 150 QSOs, which is more than we expected at one.
Yeah. So
Wow.
everybody has challenges based on their experience, right? So something that I would see as a challenge, Mark would say, "Oh no, you see this all the time." So let me ask all three of you, and I'll start with Mark. As you look at this, what did you see as the biggest challenges you ran into?
So I would say that our biggest challenges was just propagation issues. Although I think the propagation was not bad outside of the contest. So I think also just making sure that we had comfort, that we made sure that we ate okay. Those kinds of things with the cost of food over there, which I don't know that if you've discussed that or not.
Not yet.
But a box of cereal is like $10, and there's no milk, and a pound of beef is about $40.
Really?
So you're trying to find the right combinations of things that everybody can eat. I'm a vegetarian, so I'm working out great there because it's a vegetable island, and but then you've got carnivores that are like going, "Hey, dude, what's up with this stuff? That's quiche. Who ever heard of that?
Yeah.
So, but the challenge really was making sure that we had our antennas pointed in the right direction, and making sure that the people that wanted to watch the World Series understood that we weren't there for the World Series. We were there to operate the radios, that kind of thing. Just actually a lot of little things are always a challenge, but with this group, I think that we did well without having so many.
Okay.
OC, you want to pick up from there?
Yeah.
Yeah, as Mark said, the cost of food. I mean, I bought 2 large pizzas, and that was $90.
Really?
$90. It's like, what was that? Come again? But nonetheless,
It wasn't good either.
yeah, and it
Case
wasn't
of beer.
it
Case of
wasn't
beer,
paper
50
it wasn't
bucks.
pepperoni. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the other challenge that we had was the radios, right? We had been used to the Icom 7300s, and this time we took SDR radios.
Mhm.
And so getting over the learning curve, Alex and I both have those radios, the Sun SDRs, so we're very, very familiar with them. Setting up the software to interact with N1MM and other pieces of software, that was a challenge, but I took care of all of that while we were here. All the radios were tested for 2 weeks with all of the software, and lo and behold, we land on the island, we set everything up, and nothing's configured the way I left it here. So that was a big challenge on my side because I'm the person that takes care of the computers and the network and all of this. So for me, it was very frustrating that things did not work the way they had been set up. So I spent a lot of time trying to resolve those issues as quick as possible. And that really drains you. And the last thing you want to do is get on the radio because it's your shift and you've got 3 hours of get on the radio. It's like, I just spent 5 hours working on this particular issue and I don't feel like it. But that was a big challenge for me. Different personalities, right? And that can bring its own challenges, right? You didn't get enough sleep, or you were feeling sick, or you just didn't eat properly or something, and it changes you a little bit, and then you start getting grumpy. But I try to keep a cool head and work with everyone, and I think we did well.
Good.
So, and
Alex?
I want to add from my side. It was going to be different than guys mentioned because I don't want to repeat what they said. Challenge for me was to feed my team. So I was the cook. So that's one of the hats I normally wear when we go to expedition. And I like food. No, in in Vanuatu, I was cooking, and Mark, he's vegetarian, so I have to be careful. So do not mix things. So he needs to get the separate. So that's why for me it's like, okay, well, I'm in the middle of Kyoto. Okay, well, it's the morning. Let's go get the breakfast. So and go there and cook breakfast for our entire team because people working, people can get off the radios. It's another commitment, right? So I want to make sure that people happy when normally they're not hungry, right? So I want to make sure that we keep. And as OC mentioned, yeah, it's a big problem on the island. We did not anticipate that the food was incredibly expensive, and just not because it's the food itself, because they're importing food from France. They have Australia and the Pacific other countries right next to it. It's going to be a lot more cheaper, but whatever reason, all food that they have in the stores, and there's only one grocery store on the island, all food that comes from France, and it's incredibly expensive. So, and we had to be very selective to pick what food, and it was I think a challenge that we did not expect it to face with.
So when Mark's standing there hungry and you're on the air and you're going, just one more, that's not a valid answer, is it?
Yes. And I was going to say that because Mark was talking about Scott, but Mark itself, the same person. He said, one, because they're both very obsessed. Obsessed sounds very familiar. Yeah. They're both obsessed when it comes to, DX and when it comes to CW. So I operated CW, but I wasn't too much into because I was doing equipment, I was cooking, I was doing FT8, I was doing a little bands and all that kind of things. But I'll give credit to Scott and Mark because they really like CWs. We're truly guys that trying to pick up, trying to get, and they don't want to quit. They're not quitters, and that's what we like.
Yeah, that's right. And what is Scott's call again?
Is November 7th, Juliet, India.
Oh, he is Juliet, India. Okay. Joe, did you have a question?
Yes, sir. So we've been talking about challenges, and propagation obviously has been one. What about the Chinese radar, the over horizon radar?
I don't think we ever experienced that.
I think we did hear it one time. I think it came on, but it was very brief.
Yeah,
we had it one time in the middle of the day. Kind of wiped out the bands, and then it went away.
Yeah, because the lack of propagation.
Yeah,
sure.
You couldn't hear it.
Otherwise, it probably would be everywhere.
Because I had been in the Pacific, and the radar would come on, and it would be on for an hour or two.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't have that.
Yeah, we couldn't hear a thing. We would just sit there and talk among ourselves and try to get a cup of tea.
Yeah, Joe, we had some man-made noise there. The place where we were staying installed some new LED lights, and boy, when they turned those on, it wiped out everything on all bands, and we had to ask them to turn it off.
Yeah, while we were there, they installed them.
Yeah,
and they turned them on, and it was just like, oh, what is that? Everybody's looking at each other, like it came up, and if we could. We as soon as they turned them off, it was fine.
The thing that we never talk about, we being on the podcast, but I know, sometimes you mentioned something about different personalities. You get strong personalities, you get all kinds of things involved. Joe, I think, was in one of the most unique positions I've ever heard. Joe, you had to. Was it Wake or was it Midway where you literally they picked 12 names and you all just got together and went?
Yes.
How did you work that whole leadership thing out? Because this wasn't planned. This was 12 random people that.
Yes. So Wake Island, the Fish and Wildlife decided that they're going to have a lottery, and they put it out one day at 8:00 in the morning, and some guy called me up. And he says, call this phone number and tell them you want to bet. So I did. And then I called a buddy of mine and I says, call this number and tell them you want to bet. So as it turned out, I think there was 15 of us on Wake. And pretty much we all knew one another because Alex would call Mark would call OC, and the way it would go. But that was very, very unusual. And As it turned out, the team was fine, but we did not anticipate that going in because at first we had no idea who we're going to be operating with. And that was got to be mentally sort of a challenge to us. We'll wonder if we don't like these people, and they go on and on, or they're not good operators. You know, they're only VHF operators. So we were concerned about all that. But as it turned out, it was fine.
I'll add to what Joe was saying about inexperienced operators. You don't know what the experience is of one, you know, like Hannah, for instance. She's young, she's a youth, and we brought her, because we're trying to promote youth. Sure. And so we didn't know what kind of operator she was going to be. We did find that we needed to do some mentoring while she was out there. It was one of those things that we needed to make sure that we told her, you're yelling into your microphone. They can't hear you, so you increasing your volume doesn't make it any better, right? And you've got another radio right next door to you that is also trying to communicate. And so it's like, can you tone it down just a little bit? And actually, Dave, K6BIM, he would walk over there and go, help out here, tone it down. And I think at the end, she was doing really great about not yelling into the microphone. Let me tell you something about Hannah. She is a trooper. She had the worst allergies of anyone I ever met in my life. Okay, and they had cats. The hotel that we stayed at had cats, and so we had toilet paper until her allergies kicked in, and then they had to go buy more because
yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a 32-gallon bag, that she's filling with, and she's blowing her nose, working her phone, and making QSOs,
Wow.
So this is talent, but it's youth talent, and it's something that we need to continue with,
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave it at that because there are other things that went on. Like, I don't think I got a single mosquito bite while I was out there, and they are everywhere because her dad and Scott and Hannah became the mosquito magnets.
Really?
Literally, they got bit everywhere, and I got one on my hand, But if you look at her legs, it looked like just red blotches, everywhere. They were biting them through their things, and I'm like looking over to OC. Have you gotten any mosquito bites? Maybe one. I'm like, okay.
If you know these bracelets, right? That they have an oil, the citronella oil, the bracelets you put it. So they were walking like entirely filled with the
Seriously,
bracelets.
I thought they were mummies for a minute.
This is one of
they had them on their wrists, they had them on their ankles. I mean, Scott was trying to stretch one so they could get it over his head.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, just so bad. But I use these wipes, and I think that they worked. I mean, I put them all over my body, and and the shower sheets, the shower sheets, the dryer sheets.
Oh yeah,
underneath my hat and all of that kind of stuff. I'm trying to tell them about it. I was like, no, we got these bands. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm not getting anything, and if you're getting them, I'm not. So I'm good.
So,
they're full when they leave.
One of the things we need to also consider, because I mean we're laughing and it's funny for us, but malaria is one of the big problems in the South Pacific, especially this. People that born and raised there, they have natural immunity. We coming from different world, we're not immune to those. So mosquitoes are small, tiny, funny, but they can be deadly.
Mm-hmm.
And we had, unfortunately, one of the expedition, the very unpleasant experience when people get sick and have to be evacuated. So you need to always take seriously the malaria problem. And what we normally do as a team before we go to similar entities, we have all these vaccinations and all the necessary antibiotics with us, because we have to come back home. We have to come back to our families. We have to go again to different expedition. So keep us safe. It's a huge job and task, and especially when it comes to inexperienced people, they don't
Yeah.
take this seriously. So we want to make sure that the team is healthy, first of all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Guys,
we all went and did the pre making sure that we had tetanus and all of those types of things. That I think that's a real important thing to make sure that when you go, you're vaccinated for those kinds of things, for the malarias, for the typhoids, all of that kind of stuff that you might run across in a land that's completely foreign to you and your body.
Sure. This is great conversation. I really like this because so many people think that when we go on a DXpedition, it's all rosy and fun, and you're having a good time. You're going to some island in the South Pacific, and they don't realize the some of the dangers that we put ourselves into. Because I've been on several trips, and guys have been hurt bad, sick, and it's not fun.
Our first expedition to Vanuatu, we actually had that same kind of thing go on with one of our team members. We had to emergency him off the island, and he was in the hospital. How long was he in the hospital? Let's see, a couple of weeks, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, after he got returned. So it is important to make sure that you're healthy before you go, and that you stay healthy while you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Go ahead, Bill.
What about I've got actually two other questions, and we kind of touched on them a little bit. What would we talked about the challenges, but for your next one, what are you going to do differently? And it sounds like already Starlink is an important part of that. Is there something else maybe that we haven't talked about that you would do differently going forward? I'll start with OC.
Yeah, I think that in the past, we've been supplying pretty much all the radios, right? And I think that doesn't give people an incentive to get on the radio. So one of the changes that I think we're going to make is we'll invite you, but you're responsible for all of your equipment. You bring your antennas, you bring your coax, you bring your radio, everything you need to make you successful within our expedition. And if you don't feel like operating, hey, let your radio sit there. But when someone else provides the radio and all the equipment, there's a sense of, I have to do something. And maybe you're not feeling well. Maybe you're ill. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you got some bad news. So I think we're going to see, I'd like to see that change where we supply everything. We want to depend less and less on sponsors and self-sponsor ourselves, right? Mark, Alex, and myself, we pretty much have all of the equipment that we need. And so, we're pretty much prepared to go anywhere, anytime. I mean, if Alex says, hey, Mark, OC, let's go to Honduras next week, we're probably ready. We can pack everything up and go. Yeah.
All right, let's go to Honduras. No problem. Let's go.
So yeah, I mean, that's, something that I'm looking at to be different. It makes it tough when you have one person that's working on everybody's computer to make it work. I don't want to do that anymore. I want everybody to be responsible for their equipment from beginning to end. We'll give you the guidelines that we're expecting. You must be able to have your N1MM do this and this and this. But, other than that, you bring your own equipment. Because then you can bring as much or as little as you want. I mean, I don't mind bringing more than what I need. I know I'm going to pay for it, but that's okay. I'm ready for that.
Yeah. Mark, any thoughts?
I'm very similar to OC, especially when it comes to the sponsorship. We did have a snafu on sponsors. We were sponsored by ACOM, and our amplifiers that they gave us, they sat in Kentucky. The entire time that we were there, the customs people kept asking for more information and what have you. So it's not ACOM's issue. It's more of a United States Customs problem, and the paperwork thing, I think, was whatever it was. But you pay for these things ahead of time, And so that was like a huge expense that we just had to eat it. And so if I don't have to deal with that next time, I have an amplifier, I've got a radio, I've got all the antennas that I would ever need to go do anything on my own. So there's no reason for me, just like OC said, pack up my stuff, my laptop, my radio, my antenna, my coax, jump on a plane, and I'm operating with what I know works for me. I'm not going to go and try to work something that I don't know very well. So that is something that I would definitely do different. I don't think also the team has to be so large. I think a smaller team might be a better way to go than having such a large team. Depending on where you're going, it makes a difference. If you're going to a top 100, then you can keep it 3 and 4. If you're going to a top 50, you got to make a difference. So you have to up that team because you're going to wear those 4 people out big time if you go into a top 50. So keeping the team smaller, I think, is something that I would do different next time. So, Alex?
Yeah, well, it's good points. So from my own experience being on 20 plus expeditions, it's always dynamic change. All right. When you expect one thing and you prepare, there's no such a thing. You 100% prepare. You're always going to encounter something, and you have to mentally be ready for that. So if I operate my radio and the same antennas at home, not necessarily is going to work the same way on the island when you have a different stress, different things, and different commitment and expectation. So you have first comes from yourself. Tune yourself where you go. Team effort. Okay. So because we're not there by ourselves, we are for team. We have to hold each other back. So I was in a few expeditions. We have to evacuate. We have to drop everything. We have to just grab everything and just run. So it's always a team. We never let others behind us. I mean, equipment. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I've never had, by the way, never had expedition that I hadn't do any repairs. Never, no way. So every single expedition I had to something fix or improve or upgrade or something, because you expect everything going to work. But realistically, it does not work. So what you're going to do, you have to dynamically try to fix something and make sure you get through it. So, and that what happened with the antennas, because it immediately rained, immediately flooded. I mean, it flooded feed points. So we have to update antennas and elevate from the ground. And, when they have a truck run over our cables and damage the cables because people don't have a sense of it. So Mark needs to go outside and put the yellow tape, like we had yellow tape, to tell others, hey, this is actually expensive stuff. So there's always, what I'm going to say, and it's based on my own experience, mental state of people, team members, it's number one, because you have to be prepared for all these challenges. With the equipment, with the antennas, with the food, with everything. Okay. Second, it's you have to try to accomplish what you came for, which is QSOS and everything else, because we have people that donors and who want to us to activate that. So we want to make sure we deliver that commitment to them. So those kind of things, right? And everything else comes after, because team itself, people are the most priority, no matter where you go.
Okay, interesting. Joe, did you have a follow-up question?
No.
Okay.
Can I just add one thing to what Alex was saying? Is we met like a ton of times doing Zoom calls. We probably had 30, I think, meetings of get-together, and that was really good. We got to know our people before we left. And that was something good. That was something that there was no expectation of, I don't know this person at all. And so the Zoom thing of team, absolutely what he said was 100%. And so getting together and understanding, I'm taking this, you're going to take that. So everybody knows what they're taking and what is available for you. I thought was just a really good lesson that we learned this time, is that we knew what we had to work with And yeah, some of it failed. We didn't have any radio failures. We had the amplifier failure, which was terrible, but it was toward the end. But everything that we had going on was something that I felt good that our team got together with and understood what it was that we were doing. So the team thing is
amplifier failure was one of those moments.
It was. It was
one more QSO. One more QSO. And then next time I see the smoke coming out of the amplifier.
It's the truth.
So the question, you mentioned something about a VP2E antenna, and you would never leave it home and you've taken it everywhere. Can you describe that a little bit?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, does anyone use the antenna in the past somewhere? No? So
No.
this is the choice number one of my choice number one, because first of all, the half a wavelength of antenna. So if you have, well, let's say it's one side is half a wavelength. So if we talk about 20-meter band, right? The antenna itself is going to be 20 meter long. So it's kind of inverted V, but you have to feed from one side, and it creates the diagram. And this is what is a great of this antenna. It does not require a height. So I use a fishing pole. So 5 meters high, enough to operate 30-meter band. So, and you don't need it, you just need a piece of wire. And then you have a 3 dB gain. I mean, everyone understands 3 dB gain over 100 watts. That's actually 200 watts ERP, right? So plus directivity, right? So I position antenna such a way so we have a main lobby of antenna pattern towards north, so we're getting that. And then antenna was running on just and there's a one person can lift. I mean, you just put the two wires and a fishing pole and good to go. I've been using this antenna from 80 meters because 160 is just impractical. I mean, you can't have this such a long wire in there. But the benefit of that, it operates very good. You don't need to have expensive. You don't need high poles. 5 meters is going to get you all the way to the 80 meters. And if you talk like a 10-meter band, you probably need 3 meters only. It's a 10 feet just a pole, which you can use. I used pine trees back in California when I was operating in RL contest. So I mean, and the second choice is J-pole. J-pole. I love J-pole, and we had to say J-pole. And in fact, when we arrived, and it was raining, it was muggy, it was horrible weather. We tried to unpack our equipment and going through all this logistics. Well, first thing I did, I took my 10-meter pole, opened up, put my J-pole antenna, and 5 minutes after, we were running FT8 station. So, and J-pole, it just fits in your pocket. So I use those antennas from Honduras. So I like those antennas because it gives you immediate ability to operate without putting all this hex beam and all these other antennas that require time to assemble, right? And J-pole also, like a VP2E antenna, also 3 dB gain. But unlike directivity, it has all omnidirectional.
So how difficult would the VP2E be to create for 40 meters?
Not difficult at all.
And it's easy to carry in. So Joe and I had a podcast.
Backpack.
Well, we had okay, that's where I was going. We had a conversation with N5. Oh God, I'm terrible at calls. N5NU, who is a missionary, CE3 N5NU, and he goes backpacking all over Chile and the surrounding countries. And he told us, I said, well, what can we do for you? What do you need? He said, boy, if I had a simple 40-meter solution, that's what I'm looking for. So when you mentioned this, I thought, because he backpacks in, so he takes everything with him. But everything he's experimented with has just been too big. So I wonder if this isn't something we could fix him up with.
Yes, so just piece of wire, and then you'll need just a fishing pole. That could be also, nowadays you can find this very DX. I have a portable one that fits in any luggage, and that's definitely get you through 80 meters and 40 meters for that. It's also weatherproof because there is no much wind load, right? So you can use in a harsh environment. It's a one-person installation. It's very easy. If something happens, the worst case could happen. Just you're gonna tear the wire. So you can just replace the wire. And what I've done in the past, I used one antenna with the traps. So you can actually make jumpers and then operate on all bands and just switching those and get you all bands. So
Wow.
that becomes the unique portable, because I've learned a big lesson when I was activating SOTA and POTA stuff, and I had to create something. By the way, the second name of that antenna, if you want to Google, it's a Hotel Bravo 9 Sierra Lima. So it's also the guy that took that initial design, and VP2 was, I mean, existed for a long time ago. It's been I don't know, not advertised, I guess, properly, and people didn't pay attention a lot. But HB9SL and VP2E, I think this is the best choice for me if you go portable.
Okay. So, OC, what is the DX Obsessed group? Other than the name, obviously, I guess.
Well, I think that, you know, we kind of started it when Mark and I connected, right? And then we talked about, hey, let's put something together. Let's make it more official. And we went through a whole iteration of different names of the lunatics. And I don't know. There was at least 15 different names, and we kind of dwindled it down to DX Obsessed because, you know, really we were and we still are obsessed about DX, not only working it, but being the one that gets worked, right? And the other part to DX Obsessed is we wanted to put something together that could be done on a budget, right? We wanted to be able to say, hey, look, this is how we did it, and anyone can do it as well, right? You know, like Alex said, the VP2E antenna, right? Very simple to make, very lightweight, and we'll get you on the air really fast. So we wanted to be able to showcase kind of some of the stuff that we were able to do on a budget and then move forward with that.
Okay, super. Joe, did I leave anything out?
No, sir, you did a good job, Bill.
Oh, they did the good job, man. It was very, very interesting.
They did an excellent job.
Wow. You know, the thing that there's part of me, I would love to be on a DXpedition somewhere. I just don't know. It's like, I think I'm a pretty good operator. I just don't know if the first time I sat down in front of that radio and heard that wall of sound, I just don't know if I can handle that. I just don't.
It is an experience. It is definitely experience. Vanuatu was my first real one with a big wall when we were in St. Lucia. You know, it was okay. I mean, we had a flex radio that we were using. Our wives were in the other room, and Mark and I are just going at it, working people. But the wall is very intimidating, especially if you're not used to it and you don't know what to expect. It's like, how do I pick out the station, right? It's easy when we're all speaking English, but you get the JAs that have this little rhythmic pattern that they use on their call signs, right? You get the Italians also that have a little bit, you know, and the accent gets thrown in there, and it's like, what was that? You know, and you're asking them 3 times, and finally you just say, forget it. I'm going to pull this guy out that's a little bit stronger, and I can understand him. But you don't want to leave anyone behind, right? You want to work as many people, but at the end of the day, we're there to make QSOs. And if I'm struggling to get your call sign, I got to move on. And so, you know, hey, if you want to go, let's go.
So
It'll be a lot of fun.
It's funny, Bill. You mentioned like a DX, and I listen, you know, see, and Mark has his own story about it, right? But for me, when I got 4 Lima call sign, as soon as I turned the radio and I called CQ, immediately I was surrounded by a crowd and pileups. For me, pileup was ordinary. I didn't need to go to expedition. I don't need to leave my shack. I don't need to leave a place where my kids are. I mean, I was pileupping every day. For me, it was normal. When I came to United States, I missed that because K6VHF, it's just ordinary guy out of the millions others. And it was like, wait a minute, I'm missing something. Where's the pileups? So that's why I wanted to continue the expedition to be who I was in my, you know, when I was 16 years, enjoying pileups on daily basis in all bands because Fort Lima wasn't that active. And I was pioneering a lot of stuff there. So I was participating and I have a lot of awards around me from Fort Lima too. So I really like that and I want to continue. That's why I joined DX Obsessed because I am DX Obsessed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let me add, if I could add to the voice pileups are way more difficult than the CW pileups. There's just no doubt about it. And the reason I think mainly is because there's no training program for a sideband you can't get a program that runs a pileup that you can talk back into, that kind of thing. And then, but for CW, you've got pileup runner.
Right.
I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with that, but that is a fantastic training program. And I sat for every day before for over a year, sitting there listening to 1,000 callers on CW pileup runner. And so it is quite a something that I think if you're looking to get started on it and you're going to do CW, I'm not sure if that you're in CW, but if you're a CW operator, pileup runner before you go for 4 months at a time, run 500 call signs at a time and sit there for like 2 hours and just work it over and over again. Let me tell you, it is an experience that makes you want to get out there and work real people because, you know, I don't know how many times I've worked myself on this pileup runner. Probably, I think 10 or 15 times I've worked, and I think I've worked you, Joe. I think I've worked you on CW pileup runner. I recognize your call. And so I think it was on there, but it is one of those things. Get into contests, you know, call. Borrow somebody's call sign for WPX, you know, some weird call sign so that and you got a great call, AJ. Bravo. I mean, that is one of those that they're going to chase. You know, you're going to be chased and become the DX before you become the DX.
Yeah. I know I do the CW ops, the CWTs every week.
Oh, do you? Okay.
So that's an hour of, you know, pretty decent. And if I hit that right, when you're done at an hour and you've got, well, I don't know, say 100 or 130 or something, you kind of sit back for a minute and go, wow, I'm glad I didn't have to do that for 4 hours.
Right. It is something, and it's a lot of fun. I live for pileups. That makes me DX obsessed, is that I live for pileups. Even if I'm on the other end of a pileup trying to work somebody in a pileup, that makes it totally the best. You know, Bouvet Island was a new one for me, and I got up to do the happy dance, and I got a little stretch now from that, you know, because let me tell you, it is just like that. It is what we live for in ham radio. If you're a DXer, that new one and that hip gyration got going on, you know, after you work the thing, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Let me tell you.
Can I see this happy dance? I've heard about it.
Hang on, I'll stand up and do it for you.
Okay.
Like, no, my dogs can't handle it again. You know,
yeah. Well, I'll tell you.
Please don't do it. Please don't do it.
So, my happy dance is just taking cigar and taking the fine scotch and finally happy face, enjoying it because you did it.
Yeah. So I did get Bouvet this week, and that was 327 for me. So it was like, you know, you kind of want to pound your fist a little bit and you want to feel good about it. We had
Bangladesh and Bouvet in 1 week was like, you know, 2 stretches, and
wow,
that put me at 331 because it's just, I mean, but the happy dances. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I was going to say, when the last group went to Swain's, Joe and I had them on, and Adrian KO8SCA was one of the he and a guy from the Netherlands, PA3X.
Johannes,
yes, he was. So he was kind enough to share with us to ask Adrian about his happy dance because he was able to work into Japan on 6 meters, and Adrian kind of refused, and then we found it on YouTube. So, there is a happy dance, you know, and I guess it's whatever you want it to be.
That was the same happy dance for me when I worked Johannes from Africa when he was operating on 6 meter band.
Oh man, holy smokes, Joe.
So I've got usually our last question.
Yep.
Is where are you guys going next?
It's classified, Joe.
Okay.
Yeah. We do have to. I'm actually thinking we possibly might try to get down into one of the other rarer ones, but it's going to have to. We're going to have to keep it close to the chest. there's all these ones. There's Chatham and the Campbells and those kinds of things that would be nice to get out there too.
Yeah.
To be determined. I know
To
where
be
I'm going. I'm
determined.
going to Peter 1. No
Yeah.
secret.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Boy,
I
that's
think-
a rough place, Alex.
I'm accepting the donations, by the way. So
I think one of the things that we might do is some mini expeditions, just some small ones. We had talked about Guatemala and things like that. That's definitely something on the horizon. But I think that we still have at least another year before we finalize where we're going next.
You know who's been really scarce, at least here for me, has been Bolivia.
Yes.
Bolivia's been scarce.
I need Bolivia on 6 meters bad.
And Joe has like 700 confirmed on 6 meters, and Bolivia's not one of them.
I worked them yesterday on 6
Oh.
meters from HR9, the remote station.
Well, that's right next door. I mean,
But I cannot work him from here.
yeah, I haven't heard. I don't think I heard Bolivia at all last year. I haven't heard him this year, and I've needed him for the marathon for the last couple of years. So,
I mean,
I-
Paraguay, Zulu
You know,
Papa
one
is
thing-
also not that active.
no, you're right.
Peru, I mean, if you see Peru, I think there's one station in Peru.
Yeah.
Those are very viable places to go that are not over the top, and I don't have to sit on a plane for 16 hours.
Yeah. I've been a ham 56 years, and I have never worked Bolivia on 6 meters. I got them on other bands, but not 6. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's
crazy.
the difference between subtropical propagation, TEP propagation, when you're in Honduras. In Honduras, I opened yesterday on my remote computer, and all I see just is South America. And guess what? A 30, plus 30, plus 20, plus 25 dB on FD8. I
Yeah.
turn my radio here, I hear nothing.
Yeah.
But in Honduras, everything is on, especially South America. It's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's definitely one to keep in mind. I'm glad that you brought that up. So thank you for
Yeah,
we'll
and
put that on our list.
and if you guys want to get the word out, you know who to contact, and we'll get you on and
Yeah.
get the word out. So, well,
Super
listen,
good. Thank you.
I thoroughly enjoyed this. This was really, really, really good stuff. I just it's always good to give people an insight into what you do, because, like Joe said, everybody thinks you're sitting around the pool with a cocktail operating remote, and it's like, no. I mean, you run into, insects and injury and weather and winds, and we had WB2REM on one time, and he was in Moscow and was escorted by the secret police to the local police station. I mean, those are kinds of things, when I can't get you on 30 meters, I thump the table and go upstairs and wait for the next night. And why aren't those guys on 30, and what's going on? And we're not thinking about hurricane force winds and heavy rains and people getting hurt. I mean, so it's always good for you guys to share that insight, and I appreciate it, and I know our listeners do. So thank you for your honesty. We sure appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, guys. Well, until
Thank you for having us on,
until
for
the,
sure.
and if I get a chance to see you at Dayton, for instance, I'll be happy to buy a Colt 807 and
Yeah.
get the conversation rolling. So just keep me in the loop.
All righty.
Don't
Thank you,
forget, don't forget me when you get to Dayton. You can buy me one.
I'll see you both in Dayton.
All right, we'll
Like
see you
last
guys.
Yes, we will.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Good luck to you.
All right.
Hey, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good
Good
night.
night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I hope you found that as fun as interesting as I did. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the DX Mentor. I would like to thank our sponsors, ICOM America, the Daily DX, DX Engineering, and the Southwest Ohio DX Association. You won't find anyone more committed to DX than these sponsors. And it wouldn't have been a great show without these guests: Alex, K6VHF, Mark, N7CM, Oceal, NG7M, and Joe, WAGEX. I would love to have your feedback, answer your questions, and provide help with any DX or amateur radio issues that you may have. If you need clarification on something, or you just have a question, email me at thedxmentor@gmail.com. I would especially like to thank you, the listeners and viewers. Without you, there would be no reason to do this. Please drop me a line if you've achieved an all-time new one, received recognition, or you have a DX event that you would like us to mention. We would be happy to do that. If you're enjoying these DX Mentor episodes, please hit the subscribe button. If you want to follow us and get updates on future YouTube and podcast episodes, as well as DX events and DXpeditions, join the DX Mentor Facebook group. It helps us out. 7-3 for this episode, and thanks to my ex-whale Karen for her love and support. I hope to see you in the pile-ups.